How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. I'm so excited to see you. I haven't seen you in a whole week. So I
I
really missed you.
know.
How are you guys doing
I
over there?
know. Well, I've been at home for over a week now. It's as I mentioned last week when we talked, I got the Halo laser and it was a crazy experience. I'm really excited to do a podcast on it because I think it's been such a journey for me, and all my girlfriends are texting me like crazy, wanting to know all the ins and outs of it. But I was definitely needing to be home and out of sight
Yeah.
for a solid probably 7 days.
Okay.
My head was a pumpkin.
And that's what was
Uh,
projected, right? Like that was the timeline you were expecting,
yeah,
but that is a long time, a
it
whole week.
it was. Yeah, it ended up coinciding with a few days that my daughter was sick, so that actually ended up being okay because I would have been home anyways. But I'm on day 11 now, and my skin has never looked better. I cannot believe the results from this laser. I feel 5 years younger.
Wow. I can't wait
A
to see
lot
it in
of
person too. I can see
uh,
over the video right now. It looks fantastic, but I want to see
uh,
it in person. I'm really excited.
yes, and I'll have to show you some of the before and after photos because I didn't really realize how many brown spots or sunspots that I had because I just get in the routine of putting makeup on to cover them and going about my day, and actually taking up close photos of my skin with no makeup was a little shocking. I was
Oh,
like, oh, I'm really glad I did this because I had a lot of brown spots and they are 90%
yay.
gone.
That's so exciting.
I
How
know. I know.
awesome.
So we'll save it for next podcast, but well worth it, and I can't wait to get into it more with you.
Yay. Oh, okay, I'm excited. Excited to hear more about it.
What's going on with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, same. So, it's been freezing this week. It's sort of like purgatory a little bit, like waiting for the sun to come out and waiting for warmth and the summer to come. And we also got sick. So, it's a good thing. I was going to come to Sarah's on Monday, and she was going to show me how to do my
Yeah.
eyebrows. So I was really bummed to miss out on that. But we also got sick, so it's really probably a good thing we didn't end up doing that little play date with the girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's sort of been, going around the family, and everyone's been a little bit sick this week. But other than that, it's been all right. It's been one of those weeks where like I need my coffee every morning before I can function. And like one day this week, I put a plate into the microwave for breakfast. I thought I had put something on the plate, but it was just the plate, and the microwave dinged. And I was like, "Here's your breakfast." And I pull it out, and there's like nothing on it. So my husband was dying laughing at me. It was just like a dysfunctional week, but we made it. And I'm so glad to have like some adult time now to talk to you and just
Yeah.
like start looking forward to a trip and talk about that.
That's
So
the epitome of mom brain.
yeah, it is. Yeah. Thank goodness for coffee. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's
it's
so
good.
funny.
I know. Oh, and the other big thing is I just took like a super part-time position at University of Oregon to do some research there. So
Oh, have you
yeah.
started?
My first day was Wednesday. Yeah, so I've just been doing onboarding and things like that, and I'm sort of rejoining a lab group there that I've been working with even through like grad school for like 15 years. So it's great. It's going to be like going and joining old friends again and starting to do some research. So that'll be
Oh,
fun, but super part-time, and this
that's so
podcast comes
exciting.
first. So yay!
Yay!
Yeah, of course. Priority number one, platinum
I
perspective.
love it.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, thanks.
That's so
Something a
exciting.
little bit new just to keep my brain going, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, since we don't have the sunshine right now, this podcast will be so fun to talk about because we are planning a trip that's hopefully
Yes.
going to be full of sunshine and summer vibes.
Yes, I
It can
can't
help us
wait.
escape this dreary weather.
I do think like sometimes I just like live for the next trip. sometimes when it's like this, like when the weather's like this, I just keep thinking to myself, the Disneyland trip's coming up. I'll go on and buy a dress for it or something for the girls.
Yeah.
I mean, just the preparing part of it even is so much fun. So at least we have that going, and we can think about that while we're looking outside and it's dreary in Northern California. But so
I agree.
yay. Well, let's jump into it. Welcome to the Platinum Perspective. The podcast is about travel, beauty, luxury, and more. Sarah and I are best friends who put the work in to get the most out of life so you don't have to.
Perfect. And I am, like we were mentioning, we have a Disneyland trip coming up with our two families. And so this episode is going to be dedicated to all things Disney, which I'm super excited about because I am a Disney novice. I don't know very much about it at all. I only went a couple times as a child, and my girls have never been. And Megan, you're the extreme opposite. And so I am excited to pick your brain and learn everything Disney to get totally prepared for our trip.
Yay!
So before we totally jump in, we're going to do our rapid fire segment. So I got a few questions prepared for you. Okay. Are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay. Which is better, Disney World or Disneyland?
Disneyland, hands down.
Ooh, okay, well, that's good because that's where we're going.
Yes. My favorite.
Okay, question number 2. Is Disney just a money grab for parents?
No. Parents can have a great time also.
Okay,
we can talk about the ways in which we can do that.
Okay, good to know because I like to have a great time.
Yes.
Okay, question number 3. Is it even possible to have a luxe experience at Disneyland?
Absolutely. It is absolutely positively, yes. You can have a luxe experience at Disney if you plan it right.
Okay. Ooh, well, I'm glad I'm planning it with you.
Yes. Yep, me too.
Okay, and then last question. What is your favorite ride of all time?
Oh, gosh. It's really hard to choose. Probably the Incredicoaster at Disney California Adventure.
I don't even know what that is.
I know. You guys are going to have so much fun going on it. It is just a screaming time. It is so much fun. I think the last time we went to California Adventure, my daughter and I did it 13 times.
What?
Yeah. That's how much we like it.
13?
I know. She's a thrill seeker too, just like me. So we love Eric, my husband, loves it too. So everyone who goes on it, they think it's a blast. So yeah, excited for you to do it. It'll be fun.
Oh, okay. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into it a little more. Can you share more context on why Disneyland is your favorite?
Yeah, so this sort of surprises me too, but it has a lot to do with logistics. I am from Florida. I grew up going to Disney World once or twice every single year. So, I mean, when I thought about going to Disneyland after we moved out to California, I was like, oh, it's so small. I just don't know if that's like my thing. I'm such a Disney World person. Then I did it with kids. I did Disneyland with my, she was 2 years old at the time with my eldest daughter. And it was so much fun. And you know what was a blast was just doing all the rides there with her and having it be so achievable. It's very different at Disney World because it's so large. There's so much to do. You go to Disneyland, all of the rides are very close together. It's not that hard for little kids to enjoy themselves there, and it's just doable. The logistics are easy at Disneyland, and I just have always had a fantastic time there. So now it's my favorite place to go with the kids. I could go multiple times a year, and we do. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. I think just the idea of planning a trip to Disneyland has felt overwhelming just because of the logistics. So I love hearing you say that it's not that hard comparatively to Disney World. I know my girls are 6 and 3 now, and the last few years, my husband and I have talked here and there about where are we going on vacation this year. And Disneyland always comes up, but then inevitably we choose somewhere else, like Maui or another island, because it feels easier. Whereas the idea of Disneyland, the magic and the characters and the costumes and all of that sound great, but I can't be the only one out there that feels like it just seems daunting to plan. So it really wasn't until I met you and you're such an expert in it that I felt like, okay, we want to do this trip. So I love hearing that we chose your favorite theme park and that it's easier to plan than Disney World.
Yeah, it's one of those things too. I think when you've done something, if it's your first time, you're always sort of like uncertain. Like, is it going to go well? Is it not going to go well? There's always a chance that there's a fail. Like we've planned so hard for this, we've planned so much, and it just doesn't go well. I really think for most people that it does seem daunting to go to somewhere like Disneyland. But once you've done it once, you can totally do it again and again and again. And then you know what to expect. And you won't fail on that first go. There's just no way to fail at Disneyland. There just isn't. And I can't say that about Disney World. I can say that about Disneyland. They know what they're doing there. Everything works. They are all about service. They treat the kids just like they're royalty walking around, and the kids love it. They see their favorite characters, and I'm happy when they're happy. So it just, that's the fun of it. Yeah. So.
Oh,
yeah.
I love that. I love that. So for our trip, we are staying at the Grand Californian because that is where you recommended.
Yes.
I did no research on hotels. I asked you where to stay. You told me where to stay, and we booked a suite there. But what are the options for hotels, and have you stayed at other ones, or how do you know that this was the one for us?
Yeah, so you're going from 0 to 100 the first trip you're going out there, because you're going to go out there and stay at the top of the line hotel that Disney has out there, the Grand Californian is going to be the most expensive hotel. Depending on the time, depending on the room, there's differences. But in general, the tiers are Grand Californian. Then next level down would be Disneyland Hotel. The next level down would be Paradise Pier. And those are the three resorts, the three hotels that are on property, on Disney property, that you can stay at. Now, that's a big difference from Disney World. So anybody thinking about coming from that resort, they're going to see that that's a big difference, because there's like 15 or 16 of the resorts for Disney World over there. It's huge. Oh, wow. There's only 3 here. So you don't have a ton of choice, but you really don't need it. Disney does a fantastic job at their Disneyland hotels. All 3 of them are very nice. And depending on what you want, there's ups and downs to each of those. But I just have had fantastic experiences, even just walking into the Grand Californian, not even staying there, and just being like, oh, this is the place I want to stay for the rest of my life. It's just magical. It's just so nice. And, they do all kinds of cool things inside that lobby for Christmas and for holidays. And I don't know. It just, when we went there, it felt like it was going to be a place we wanted to repeat multiple times. I will say, before we decided to go to stay at Grand California, we did stay at a couple of what are called good neighbor hotels. And these are hotels that are close to the resort area, but not actually on property. They're off property. They're owned by other companies. So there's like a Howard Johnson, there's Candy Cane Hotel, there's a bunch of different ones that are walking distance to the theme park entrance. So even if you're not staying on property, there are plenty of hotels right there that are going to be cheaper to stay at, that are great distance from that entrance. Like, to the degree you don't have to get in your car and drive all the way to the parking garage and park and get on the trolley, have the trolley take you to the front of the entrance. Like, you can imagine that adds like a good hour to the beginning of your day. So the one we've stayed at that's walking distance from the theme park entrance is the Courtyard by Marriott, and it was really nice. It was much cheaper than staying on a Disney property, and we were able to get a nice suite there, so that's a great option. I think it was like $400 to $500 a night, but you have great proximity.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was a suite with
wow.
like rooms,
Okay.
the multiple rooms. Yeah. And then we have stayed further away where we've needed to drive to go park and do all that business. And then we stayed at the residence in Anaheim Resort area. We did that 2 times. So that was actually in Garden Grove, and it was maybe like a 10-minute drive to the parking garage. And then you got to do the whole rigmarole of getting onto the trolley and all of that to get to the entrance. But it was a great price to stay there. And we usually got like a 2-bedroom suite there. And it was fantastic. It was like $300 to $400 a night, came with breakfast. Many of these Good Neighbor hotels, there's like 20 or 30 if you look on the Disney website. Many of them provide their own transportation straight to the entrance of the hotel of the resort as well. So it can be a great option for like saving money. It just sort of depends on what your family needs and what kind of experience you're looking to have.
Well, and maybe if you have older kids, right as you said, it adds an hour to your morning. I thought, oh, nope, we're out. We cannot do that with little kids.
Yes.
We need the most convenient, easiest option. But yeah, definitely a great option if you're looking to save money or you have older kids that doesn't matter as much.
Yeah, and honestly, the Grand Californian, if you love DCA, Disney California Adventure, it's fantastic because they have their own theme park entrance straight from the hotel. So you just walk right into the park from our hotel, which is like so you have your own security line. Like that alone saves so much time to not have to stand in that main entrance security line to go to Disneyland. Or
that there is the luxe experience I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I don't know if we love Disney California Adventure yet because we've never been there. I've actually never even seen it. The last time
so excited.
I know.
You're gonna love
last time I went to Disneyland was in the year 2000.
Wow. So it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Okay.
They didn't have Downtown Disney. They didn't have Disney California Adventure. It was just Disneyland and that was it. So, yeah, this is exciting.
Yes.
Okay, so my other question that I've been picking your brain about is proximity to get, or how to get there and proximity to Disneyland. So we're in Northern California and we've gone back and forth on flying versus driving. I think we've decided to drive because we like the idea of controlling our timeline. And on the way home, we love Santa Barbara, and we're gonna stop in Santa Barbara and see some of our favorite stops.
How fun! Yes, that sounds great.
Flying seems like a great option as well. And you guys fly, right?
We do. We've driven a few times, and now we've transitioned to flying. Primarily because we have kids that just don't drive well. Like one of our youngest has motion sickness in the car. Our eldest really just cannot sit that long. She just can't. She needs to get up to use the bathroom multiple times, even on a plane. She just needs to move. And so the last time we drove, Eric said, we're not going to drive again. Next time we're going to fly. But yeah, it's actually not that bad of a drive. Like it's like 5 hours. It's just fine from up here in Northern California. You can get dirt cheap prices on airline tickets though, if you're going from SFO to LAX. Like those two are huge hubs anyways. And so you usually get like a nice big plane and you get a really good price even if you go first class. So I think that's what we're doing this go around. I think we're going SFO to LAX, if I'm not mistaken. I actually can't remember. You can also go Oakland to LAX. And that's usually a little bit more expensive, but not that bad. You usually get a smaller plane. Yeah, and I have, I'll admit right now, Sarah, I don't know if I've told you this, but I have a fear of flying. So,
What?
yeah, I do.
I don't know this about you.
Yeah. So these are things
Really?
I really research what plane I'm going to get on. I research everything about the duration of the flight. And so one thing, if anybody else has concerns about flying like I do, and I know it's irrational, it doesn't matter how much I talk back to myself in the plane. I just have it. But
what are you afraid of? That it's going to crash?
yeah, I'm afraid it's going to crash. The plane's just going to fall out of the sky. The pilot, this is my biggest fear. The pilot's going to make an error, and because I don't know how to fly the plane, I can't go up there and fix it. So I almost need to go through like flight lessons, I feel like, to alleviate the anxiety. Total side note.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry. Yeah. So these are things I think about. I'm always like, what's the fastest way to get there with the least amount of trouble? And I need a glass of wine when I'm on the plane, things like that. But what you have to think about, so anybody who's afraid of flying or has like a little tendency like I do, if you fly into John Wayne, which is technically a closer airport to Disneyland than LAX, there is a noise ordinance that they have to follow, every plane has to follow to fly into John Wayne, fly over OC to land. And so they don't want that plane noise. So the planes have to cut their engines over OC, like to the point where your stomach is in your throat. It's not a comfortable feeling, but they have to do it on takeoff and landing for John Wayne. So it's a nice little airport though. I mean, it's so convenient to fly into there. So that's another option. You can fly in there. If most people don't have this fear that I do and have to think about this, but I think about it. So yeah, there's something to consider if you're going to go into John Wayne. But it is a nice little airport, and it's like a 20-minute drive, I want to say, from there to Disneyland. So it's a great little easy way to get there.
We love to fly JSX Airlines.
Yes.
That's my husband really hates flying. He doesn't necessarily have the same fears that you have. He really hates terminals and lines and security and all the inefficiencies that he sees within air travel. So he loves to fly JSX, which I do as well. It's really easy. It's semi-private flying, I suppose, whereas you're not going through security. You just walk on. They valet your car. You just walk onto the flight. So we looked at that for going to Disneyland, but it can fly from Oakland to Burbank. However, the days don't correspond with when we had booked the trip.
Yep.
So that's a little tricky. So I thought, well, if JSX did fly during the days we were looking at, we would probably fly because that airline is such an easy flight. But because it doesn't, I think driving will be a good fit for us. But yeah, every family, different travel, different ways to travel work for different kids, I suppose.
Yeah, and there's lots of options for getting there. We've tried to go JSX multiple times down there at this point, and it never lines up for us. I'm not sure why. It's just the days that we want to go, they don't fly down there. But yeah, that would be a great way to get down there too. And it's not so much more expensive than flying commercial.
And it's just such especially when you compare it to first class pricing. Yeah. Commercial first class pricing comparatively to JSX pricing. They're usually pretty equal. Even sometimes I think JSX can be a little bit less. So yeah, unfortunately they don't fly everywhere. My husband likes to joke that we only will travel to places that fly JSX. We've really looked into that. We just haven't tried it yet, but I definitely want to try JSX. I think it's sounds like a nice experience. We'll have to plan a trip around it.
Yeah. We'll go somewhere they fly and just try it out. Yeah. That sounds like fun.
Yeah. Okay, well, so that's great to know. Now, the other big topic that came up when we were planning this trip is you referenced DVC. and I don't know what that is. And it's so interesting, and I think it can be its own podcast in itself. But will you speak to that a little bit? What DVC is, and how it applies to your trip?
Yeah, so not to go too much into the weeds, I'll just explain the basics of what it is. I mean, it's Disney's Vacation Club. So it's their timeshare. It's their version of a timeshare. So if it's a really good fit for people who decide, I want to have a Disney experience every year or every other year. And you can buy a certain number of points from Disney or on the resale market. So some people buy their contracts straight from Disney and then end up wanting to sell them over time. So there's two different ways to purchase different contracts for DVC. But yeah, so the only DVC hotel that we have currently at Disneyland is the Grand Californian. So if anybody wants to join, that's the one that they would need to join. Now I say that as the DVC Villas and the DVC Tower is going up at the Disneyland Hotel. And Sarah and I've traded pictures of that. So that's going to be the second resort that we're going to have here as an option for DVC to purchase a contract. But in general, what Eric and I decided was we do want to do Disney every year. We need to have access to the largest villas every single time because we have troubled sleepers, including myself being a part of this family. We all need our own space to sleep. And with 3 kids, kids, it just depends, who can sleep together on this trip is different than next, but we needed the space. And so we decided to join DVC. We joined Grand Californian, purchased enough points to be able to come every year and stay in one of the Grand Villas. And we are big number crunchers over here and found that it saves us about 40% per trip. So if you were...
What?
Yeah. So
40%?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's huge.
Wow.
So yeah, we can dig into it on another episode, but it's a really great way to get more space for your family and, get a little bit more luxury with your experience, being able to stay somewhere that has a lot of nice amenities. Every unit comes with its own washer dryer, a full kitchen, things like that you end up needing with little kids.
Yes.
So it's nice to have some of those pieces of home while you're there. So that's DVC in a nutshell. We can talk more about that and dig into it.
That's good. Well, I think I'm going to have a lot, after this trip, I think we're probably going to have a lot of questions on that and potentially be looking into that ourselves, especially if it's saving 40% per trip. I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Yes.
We don't need all the separate rooms for sleeping. I'm still co-sleeping with my kids, but we love to stay in suites, usually 2 bedrooms at a minimum, just to have the space. And like you were saying, just to have it feel more like home, where we can take breaks and have a kitchen and have a living room, so we're not all cramped into a space. So DVC is super interesting to us, so more on that another time.
Yes, for sure.
I also wanted to talk about the logistics around just getting to Disneyland, as far as buying tickets, making reservations. Post-COVID, so many things have changed. Just our local zoo, we have to buy tickets ahead of time. And so it wasn't news to me that, of course, you would need reservations for Disneyland, but how far out they're needed, and the fact that it seems like everything has to be done through this app. It's very different than, surprisingly, than it was 20 years ago when I went. So can you get into that a little bit? Just like the logistics for buying tickets, making reservations, and restaurant reservations, and just everything you'll need while you're there.
Yeah, for sure. It has changed a lot. They basically have taken out, it's going to be difficult for anybody who's very spontaneous and impulsive to just show up and go to Disney any longer. That's just like not a thing. Luckily, you and I love to plan, and the way they've set this up is for people who plan. So,
I would never spontaneously just go to Disney.
yeah, no, we love to plan, and I mean the smallest
Yes.
things in advance and research
I need
it.
time
Yes,
to plan all the outfits.
I know, right? Yeah. So we love to plan, so this doesn't hurt us. Some people, I like people in my family, growing up, we were not always. My parents weren't always like planning really far in advance. But now these days, you do need to do that because you can buy your tickets 120 days in advance and make your park reservations at that time. If you don't have a park reservation for that park, even if you have tickets, you can't go into that park. So, there's sad stories of people like not having park reservations and showing up at a Disney resort at this point and having tickets and coming from like Sweden or something like that and just not being able to get in. You have to do all this planning up front.
So what a reservation either at Disneyland or at Disney California Adventure.
Yes, you have to
plus
choose.
a ticket.
Yes,
Okay.
you have to choose between those two. And then you need to choose whether you want to have a park hopper or not. And the park hopper allows you to hop at 11 a.m., that's a new time they just announced. It used to be, I think, after 1 p.m. you could hop, and now they've moved it back for us. So we'll keep that in mind while we're there. But you have to show up at the first park to be able to hop to the other. So you do want to purchase your tickets as far in advance as you can, get your park reservation in advance, have it saved, because the park reservations do run out. And so you want to make sure that you have first dibs as soon as it comes out if you can. And then Sarah and I just got done with our dining reservations. And I'm sorry for that system, but it is the way it is. 60 days out.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
I'm going all in. We are going big on this trip. It's my girl's first Disneyland trip. We're going big or going home. Like, we're doing this. We're going with you guys. But when you texted me, okay, you said, okay, next week is 60 days out. So for 3 mornings in a row, you're going to need to wake up at 6 a.m. And try to reserve dinner reservations.
Yes.
I was like, what?
Yes, yeah.
We don't wake up at 6 a.m. around here.
I know. I am really sorry for the way that is. It just is the way it is. You got to operate within the system they give you, and that is what it is.
Of course.
One thing to know about it is that dining reservations for really popular restaurants, they go immediately. I mean, if you're not up at 6 a.m. taking those reservations, it's hard to get later on. That's not to say that they don't. And I have heard that throughout the day on that first day, they will release a few more reservations here or there. You just got to keep your eyes open and look for it. But yeah, I mean, it sort of sucks, but just getting up at 6 a.m. And it's important to note for Disneyland, it's 60 days out each day. So that's a difference from Disney World, where 60 days out from your first day, you can make reservations for the whole entire week. So,
oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. So people who are used to different systems just realize that it's 60 days out every single day that you got to get up at 6 a.m. and reserve whatever dining reservations you want to have. Now, some people go to Disneyland and they don't want to have a sit-down dinner, and then they don't need to do this. So it depends on what you want for your family. There's a lot of quick bites that you can get at the park. You don't have to do this, but if you want to, we like to have a little bit of an elevated experience, like we've talked about when we go to Disneyland. And so having some of these pre-planned dinners that you sit down and you're getting served and you get to rest your feet and the kids get to take a second, it's been well worth it in my opinion.
And have probably some like more balanced, healthy food. I do worry. I mean, we eat pretty healthy over here. My girls and I are pescatarian. We don't do a lot of sugar. And any change in their diet does really affect mood. And I do worry about that on vacation and on trips, because we want to contain the best mood and the best energy level for everyone. But when there's this influx of treats or kind of crappy fun food that everyone's indulging in, it really does need to be balanced with those really more healthy meals.
Yes. Yep.
So I love that you guys do the sit down meals. And I'm looking forward to having that time to kind of like decompress and be served and like talk about our day and nourish our bodies with hopefully some proteins and fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, and starting off that first day, we're going to go to Plaza Inn, which is a breakfast place. There's lots of healthy options there. You don't have to eat the crap. I mean, there is some, there are Mickey waffles, and those are fun, but there's also scrambled eggs. There's lots of fruit. So there are lots of healthy options there as well. So yeah, the sit down dinners do tend to be a little healthier in my opinion. But that's not to say that there aren't quick bites, quick service restaurants that you could go to that would also have some healthy options. I'm thinking a lot of the good food is at Disney California Adventure. So
Okay.
park hopping over there to eat is usually our favorite. And there's lots of great ways to just do like mobile ordering from your phone. So you can look and say, I want a salad. You can look up around what's around you and who sells a salad and where, what does it look like.
And
so,
that's all going to be through that app that we have.
Genie Plus, yeah. Yep.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it'll help you make mobile orders and you just walk up and pick it up, which is convenient.
Okay.
We figured that out last time we were there, all about the mobile ordering.
good to know.
Smoothies, things like that are a little bit
Oh,
healthier.
they have smoothies?
Yes.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yes, there are.
I live on smoothies.
Yeah, there's a really good smoothie place right as you walk into that Disney California Adventure Park.
Is there anywhere that does green juices?
Let's look it up ahead of time because we like to plan. Let's look
Okay.
it up for some green juice because that would.
I need a good green juice every day.
yeah.
If not, I'll bring my own.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so for our listeners, do you want to just name off some of the best restaurants
Yeah.
and some of the ones that we've booked? Because when I was looking at them, it was all so foreign to me and it was overwhelming. So I think if we can just give everyone your favorites from your experience, that'd be a great tip.
Yeah, for sure. So at Disneyland Resort, so this is the park, the Disneyland Park, there is the Blue Bayou restaurant, and it's really good. It's going to be top of the line, like it's within the actual ride of Pirates of the Caribbean. So you walk in, and it's got this like atmosphere that's dark and kind of like you're in a swamp. And it's really moody. It's really cool and moody in there.
Just where I love to eat
Yeah,
dinner.
at the swamp. Yeah. Once you see it, you'll know what I mean. But it's a nice restaurant. And they have good food, and they've just started serving alcohol there for the first time. So it's been
great.
like a non-alcoholic park for a very long time because that's sort of what Walt wanted that to be. He didn't want people walking around being like trashed. Obviously it's a kids park. It should be about the children. And but this is one of the first restaurants that is actually serving some alcohol there. So if that's something that's interesting to you. We love to do the Plaza Inn for a breakfast, a character breakfast in the park with the kids. Every time we go, we do it. It's a great time.
Is that the Minnie Mouse one we have booked?
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's
Yay!
Minnie's
I'm excited.
breakfast, but then you get to see usually Donald and Chip and Dale. I'm trying to think, Daisy, and they all come by they go walking by your table and come say hi to each table and take pictures one by one by one. So the whole thing is a lot of fun. It takes about an hour to do and see all the characters. So it's a great time. But I think they also do dinner there and probably lunch. I don't know if they always have the characters there. I think might be just for Minnie's breakfast, but I'm not sure. And then at Disney California Adventure, like I said, for people who are foodies or who really like to have healthy options, this is going to be honestly the best park to go for those types of options. My number one restaurant is Lamplight Lounge. It is so good. It's on the water. There's like a little a body of water that they've created where they do the water time spectacular at night, but during the day it just looks like a lake. So you're out there on this lake, you see all the rides. You basically can see around a lot of the park while you're sitting there. And they have fantastic food. If you have allergies, Disney does fantastic with allergies. Like I went there last time not being able to eat dairy. They had an entire dairy-free menu for me. Like it is
that's good
unbelievable.
to know.
Yeah, you tell them you're pescatarian, they got it. They know what you can have, what you
good.
can't. And they're very particular about what foods people can't have. Like if I note that our youngest has a peanut allergy, they will give me a separate menu for her no matter where I go. Like that.
Oh,
Disney's
good
really
to
good
know.
about that.
Okay.
So yeah,
I love
so
that.
Lamplight Lounge is my favorite. They have a really good Impossible burger, and they have they have lots of fish options. You'll like it. And then the next best, in my opinion, is Carthay Circle. Now there is Carthay Circle that is the true restaurant, and that one is very hard to get into. It's one of the top restaurants. For us, it's not, because it's very meat heavy, in my opinion. Like the options are usually, there's only one or two options for an entree, and they're both meat. So we haven't gone there before, but we love the Alfresco Lounge, which is where you sit outside, and there's a different menu for that. And it's much more fish friendly, which we both love. Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a lot more options there, and it's fun people watching there too, because that's right where people walk into the park.
Well, I always love an outdoor
Yes.
option.
Yeah,
That's
and
the
especially with the
best.
California weather. Oh, it's just amazing to sit out there and relax. And then the last one I would really recommend is in Disney California Adventure is Wine Country Trattoria. This has a lot of good Italian food. They also obviously have wine, as stated in the title. And sometimes you need a glass of wine when you've been there all day and you've had it with screaming kids and stuff. So yeah, that one's a really good option too. And sometimes the parade, depending on what parade or nighttime spectacular is going on at the time, if you eat at Wine Country Trattoria, you get first dibs, or you can request to have special seating for that parade or for that nighttime spectacular. So it's a way to see some of those things without being crowded with everybody else. So we've done that a couple times too. We did that over Halloween when we went for the Oogie Boogie Bash. We got special seating because we had dinner there. We got special seating,
Nice.
for the parade,
Okay.
which was great. So depending on what's going on, just keep yourself apprised of like what the new event is, and see whether Wine Country Trattoria has any sort of a benefit that comes along with eating there at that time. Yeah. And then for downtown Disney, there's Naples, which is good. Goofy's Kitchen is over at the Disneyland Hotel. That's another character breakfast, and that one's a lot of fun. And obviously you get to take lots of pictures with Goofy, and he's hysterical there. And then there is Napa Rose, which is in the Grand Californian where we're staying. Again, it is very meat heavy, in my opinion. Like we've gone multiple times and tried, because it is the top of the line restaurant that they have there. Like that is the restaurant. That's also where they do the princess breakfast. I think it's overpriced, in my opinion. And when we've done it, we've sort of been like, I don't know if that was worth the cost. So that's that. But if you love meat, steaks, things like that, then you would love Napa Rose. And it is a really nice, they have a nice lounge and stuff like that. It's really nice.
Well, being that I have never had beef in my entire life, that I grew up vegan and now I'm pescatarian, we'll stay away from that restaurant.
Yeah. One other really interesting place that's newer at Disneyland, the park, is Olga's Cantina. And so it's in Star Wars Land, and it's kind of it's very, very themed. So you go in and they have, I mean, I don't know if you watch Star Wars or stuff like that, but they have like blue milk, things that they would serve at Star Wars. And also some alcoholic beverages that are strange. So we did that one time right when it opened, right after the pandemic lifted. We went because it was new, and I think Star Wars Land was new at the time too. So we made a reservation, took the kids. No, that was right before the pandemic, and I don't recommend it. I mean, it's okay, but I mean, if you love Star Wars, and some people go there just for the Star Wars stuff, it's probably awesome. You love it. I didn't find it to be like a really fun time, and the kids didn't like it. Like the food was very strange. So yeah, it's a weird, funky place, but
I think we'll
Yeah.
skip out on that. We don't like strange food
Yeah.
or Star
Okay.
Wars.
So you guys,
so.
it's a total skip for you guys. My daughter
Yeah.
loves Star Wars, but
We'll
even
skip that.
still, the strange food
Oh.
and drink options were just put us off a little
Ugh.
bit. Yeah, too much.
Too much. Too
Yeah.
much. Okay, great. I think these are all really great options. I'm excited to try all the restaurants that we woke up at 6 a.m. to
Yes. Yes.
book. And excited to have my own opinion on them. But I am so happy to hear that the food options have evolved since the 20 years that I've been there. When I went 20 years ago, or I guess 23 years ago, I was a vegetarian teenager, and it was really hard for me to find food that worked for me. And my mom packed me a vegetarian sandwich.
Aw.
But back then there wasn't this supply of bars or things like that, and healthy food with varying restrictive dietary, I guess, direction wasn't available in most places. So I'm so happy to hear that it's evolved.
Yeah.
I look forward to trying all these restaurants. So next, I would love to get into Genie Plus, because this is something that I'm still learning about, that was very foreign to me. And you have all the knowledge on it, though. And it seems that it's very important for any successful Disneyland trip
It
these
is,
days.
and I love it. It's just an app that actually works. It does a fantastic job of getting you where you want to go when you want to go. But so what Genie Plus is, it's basically it's an AI based system that anybody can use, even if you don't purchase the add-on of Genie Plus. You can still use the Genie to tell you where you should go next based on where you are in the park. So it'll give recommendations of like, here's the wait time for this trip here, or for this ride. Here's the wait time for this ride. You can look at it and see, okay, well, I'm close to Pirates of the Caribbean. It looks like the line is only about 20 minutes long. That's worth it. Let's head over there. The really big benefit is when you purchase Genie Plus and you purchase the add-on to be able to use the system to book your lightning lanes and your rides. So basically, what you do is
What's lightning lanes?
yeah. So lightning lanes are actually a separate cost. So what they've done is the rides that have the most popularity, the ones that are the most mobbed with people, basically. That doesn't so those rides are actually not available for I'm going to use the word fast pass because that's what it used to be called. It's not available on the list of rides that you can reserve on Genie Plus. You have to pay an extra fee to go into the lightning lane. So there's lightning lanes right now for Rise of Resistance and for the Cars ride over at Disney California Adventure. So Rise of Resistance is the new Star Wars ride. It's mobbed with people always. It is a fantastic ride. But usually there's like an add-on cost that you pay if you want to skip that line. It's not included in Genie Plus if you purchase it. But so what you do at Disneyland is as you're purchasing your ticket, you have the option to purchase Genie Plus on top of it. And what that does is it gets you into most, except for those couple, gets you into most of the most popular rides without staying in a line. So what you do is you book your ride on your phone. You pick the time that's available, and that's the time that you show up. It's like a reservation system, and it gets you access to that reservation system if you pay for it. And it's only about $20 extra per person, which I say only because you can use this to basically get on every single popular ride at both parks. You can get so much done with Genie Plus at Disneyland. So it's really a great utility while you're in there. One bad thing about it is it does make you have to be basically on your phone a lot. So as soon as you go onto a ride, you can book your next Genie Plus. You can book your next ride. So you're always looking at your phone for what's next. What do I want to go on next? What does the family want to go on next? And booking it by your phone. So you need to have a phone with good battery while you're there. But aside from that, it's really been pretty genius to not have to stand in line, especially when we have little kids who don't want to stand in line. So it's pretty great.
So do you have one of you or your husband are just in charge and responsible for that for the day?
Yes, it's
you.
me. Yeah, it makes a lot more sense to have one person be the cruise director of the group and choosing the lightning lanes, and you add them. So they're all on my app. I have all of their tickets and their Genie Pluses on my app. And then you and I can add each other onto our reservation groups. And so I can make, like, we're walking around, we're like, hey, you guys want to do Pirates of the Caribbean next? Yeah. You just click everybody in your group, including you guys, and make it all at the same time so that we're not staggering our arrival. Otherwise,
I love that.
Yeah. Otherwise, we might have like
that's
slightly different times for our reservations because it's basically depending on what's available next. So one thing about Genie Plus to remember to think about is to do the rides that you really want to do earlier in the day because the reservations do go out. Like after a certain amount of time, maybe 4 p.m., there's nothing left. Like there's no reservations left for the rest of the day for certain rides. So yeah, something to think about. But yeah, in general,
this is all good to
in general,
know.
it works great. Like when you're there and once you get the hang of the system, I mean, it took me a second when I walked into the park to use it for the first time. But it basically just replaced what was there before Genie Plus, which was the Max Pass system. It worked basically the exact same way. So nobody experienced much of a drastic change when they went to Genie Plus at Disneyland. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, I love this. Anything that increases efficiency, I'm all in for, and I'm excited to be able to do it side by side with you to really see and learn how the app works. So that was a really good, clear explanation.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. And once you do it once, you get the hang of it. So again, it's one of those things that it seems complex, but once you do it, you're like, oh, this just works. So you can rely on it. Yeah.
That's good to know. That's good to know. Okay, one thing that we haven't talked about before with Disneyland that I just remembered recently, and I was like, ooh, I have to pick Megan's brain on this. Years ago, I met a girl who told me that she was part of Club 33. And this was so long ago. She didn't have any photos to show me, but she was so excited telling me that she was a part of this like secret Disneyland club, and she would go there for these like elaborate special dinners. So what is this? Are you a part of this? How do you become a part of this? Do we need to be a part of this?
Yes. So when we like fancy, nice things, this seems like the nice, fancy thing to add on. It is really expensive though. We looked into it when we joined DVC because we're like, oh, well, we're going to be going every single year. I think for this to make sense, you sort of have to be local to even do this. So just to give you a brief overview, there's apparently, if you wanted to join Club 33, it's a 4-year wait list. It's $25,000 to join, just to join. And then $10,000 every year after that. And that doesn't cover the food that you eat while you're there. So it's a restaurant. It used to be where where like Walt Disney would go to get away from all the crowds of Disneyland. And he even has like a bedroom and like a private residence there and things like that. So it's really cool. It's got a lot of history. There again, it's strange bar access because Walt was really weird about the alcohol thing at Disneyland too. So there's limited bar access, only available before and after dining, so not during. It does come with some like perks. So you do get 2 premier annual passes valid at Disneyland and Disney World. There's 50 one-day park hopper tickets, which is like an $8,000 value according to their website. There are some member-only events. apparently there's a private lounge at Carthay Circle, that restaurant I told you it's supposed to be really good but meat heavy over at California Adventure.
Oh.
Apparently there's a private lounge there where you can go if you're part of Club 33.
I do love
I
a
know.
private
Yeah,
lounge.
for sure. Oh, well, then you're going to like, well, I don't know if it's going to be open or not, but there's opening a new DVC lounge at Disneyland. Yeah. So
Ooh,
we can take you
okay.
there.
I like
Yeah.
anything like that.
Yeah, that'll
Okay,
be fun.
yes.
So there's a lot of history to it, basically. People aren't allowed to take pictures inside because it's secretive and they don't want a lot out on it, but it's got really old things, like an old phone that Walt used to use or something like that. It was related to some movie, and I don't know. There's lots of history behind it, but it's, I mean, I think if you're a historian and you love Disney, there's reasons why you might want to join just to go see the artifacts that are in there. But in general, it seemed like it wasn't worth it for us to join that.
Is it? It kind of sounds like maybe it's more geared towards
Yes,
adults,
for sure.
and not small
Yeah.
children. Are children welcome? Do small children go to Club 33, or it's more of an adult thing?
I actually am not sure of the answer to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay. Well, maybe it would be like a fun 1 year thing when our kids are teenagers or even older when they're drinking age. Do a little 1 year thing. But okay, well that's all good to know. The part of the trip that I am most excited about and that my husband is most excited about, it's actually the sole reason I was able to sell him on going to Disneyland instead of Hawaii, was that you guys do the VIP tours. And we did not know what that was. And once we learned what it was a no-brainer. Of course, we want to do this. Of course, this is the way to do Disneyland. So there's still so much of it that I have questions on. So let's dive into the VIP tours a little bit. So first, how long have you been doing them? And what exactly are they?
We started doing these, I think, when we started coming after the pandemic. So like in 2021. So we've done them for a couple years now. And yeah, it's a blast. It's so much fun. But yeah, I guess a couple years ago, I think we've done it now 3 times, and we've done it all with the same VIP tour guide because we love her. Her name is Kathy. And it's a great way. So one thing about going back to Genie Plus is that the rides that little kids like are in Fantasyland. And the Fantasyland rides, for the most part, are not on Genie Plus. So you have to wait in those lines to get through to go to all those rides. So you think about Peter Pan. I mean, that line gets so long. 75 minutes right when the park opens. It's very long. There's there's
gosh.
Dumbo.
How would you even do that with a
No.
3-year-old? I mean, I can't imagine that
Well,
working
you do
at
see
all.
it happen, and then you see the results. These kids are just screaming their heads off. So it is one thing to consider. Definitely, if you've got little kids, go to Fantasyland first. Do those rides first before they get ridiculously long. But we're doing the VIP tour guide, and what she can do for us is get us in through the exit. And it's so worth it because those Fantasyland rides, those lines get so long, and we just skip the whole line and go in through the exit and hop right on to all those rides. So, and we can do them over and over and over again if we want to. So sometimes, kids get stuck on something. They're like, oh, I love this ride. I want to do it again. I want to do it again. I was that way about Small World, the ride, when I was a kid. I've done that with my kids. Like, they'll just say, I want to go on this 5 times. And it's like, okay, well, we've got a VIP tour guide. We can do that. Let's do it 5 times. So it's really great. And then she can also get us on to those rides that are really hard to get onto. So I'm not even exactly sure how they're boarding people right now for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which is the brand new ride that just opened. Sometimes what they do is, like, right first thing in the morning, there's basically like a raffle that goes on that you try and get a boarding group. And if you don't get a boarding group, you don't get to go on it. So for Rides of Resistance, it's what they used to do for that. You try to get it right as the park opened, or as soon as you possibly could when you were allowed to. and they would be gone within 10 seconds. So it was like really, yeah. So if there's a
Wow.
big ride coming and you're like, I definitely want to go on this ride, and you happen to be, looking around or thinking about doing a VIP tour, it's one good reason why is that you can get on that big ticket item that otherwise you may not be able to get onto. It's going to be difficult to do.
Hmm.
So for us, that's Mickey and Minnie's
Okay.
Runaway Railway in Toontown. So we're going to get to go on that for sure with the girls, which will be a
Yeah.
lot of fun. And
Oh, I'm so excited
yes,
for
me
that.
too. And the range is for up to 10 people is $400 to
Mm.
$700 an hour. So since we're splitting it as families, it's actually not that bad
Yeah.
to do. So
It's not. And is there, you said there's a 7 hour
right.
minimum. So we'll book her for seven
Hmm.
hours and then, yeah, splitting it between two families is not bad at all. I mean, for us, it was a no brainer because waiting in lines just does not work for my 3 year old, my 6 year old, or my
Hmm.
husband. So just to be able to pass the lines for a additional fee sounds so worth it. But ever since we booked it, I've been learning all these other great benefits of it that like the VIP tour is kind of entertainment for your kids and that you'll learn so much more about the park and she'll share all this information that you otherwise wouldn't necessarily know unless you were deep diving research on your own.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she knows where all the hidden Mickeys are. My kids all love her, so they want to ride the rides with her. She rides the rides with us, which is fun.
Oh, she
Yeah, yeah, she
does?
does.
Oh, that's so
Yeah, so
sweet.
she goes through the lines with us. She keeps us entertained. I mean, we might be holding too much trash in our hands. You know how that happens when you're lugging kids around. All of a sudden, you're like
When
looking
you're
for
a
a trash
mom.
can. She'll take that and just put it in the trash for you. Just small things
Oh,
that just make it a little bit easier as parents. We are elevating it a little bit to the
yes.
point where like we actually get to have fun and we're not stressing over the lines for that day and things like that. It's a big load off. And when you're like you and I are, and we love to prepare, we love to plan, all that,
Hmm.
it is very nice for us to be able to give that to somebody else for a day and not have to be the one.
Yes.
Like we get to unwind, we
Yes.
get to have fun.
Yes. I love that. And then she also is booking us. We also get like front row seats for all the shows, the parades, and the fireworks,
That's
right?
right.
Like she'll have special seats for us so we don't have to be way back in the
Yeah, and
crowd.
she snagged our restaurants for us too. So they made the
Yes.
reservations for us ahead of time. They are booking us the nighttime stuff isn't even able to be booked yet. I think it's 30 days out when it can be booked. We don't have to worry about that. We're not going to be the ones up there trying to
Oh,
figure out how to get it for our family before other people do. VIP will do it for us. So it is a breath of fresh air to
yes.
not have to be the one that's like responsible for that day. She is, and she has done
Yes.
amazing things for us. Like we missed one of the nighttime spectaculars because our dinner was going too long. She scheduled it for us the next night. So it was like we didn't miss it,
Oh,
you know,
so
just because
nice.
you got to
Oh,
be
that's so
adaptive. It
thoughtful.
is. Yeah.
Well, and it's so I always speak to that we love to stay at the Ritz-Carlton because there's just that elevated
Yes.
service. And same reason that I like to shop at
Mm-hmm.
Nordstrom's. There's a little bit of an elevated service. And it felt like when you were describing this VIP tour, like this is it. This is where you're getting the service within Disneyland of someone to make this more of a vacation. And to clarify, we book the restaurants on the days that we don't have VIP tours
Exactly.
scheduled. But the days that we have VIP tours, she's taking care of everything. We just show up and it doesn't matter that we're not the first ones at the gate. We don't have to wake up at the crack of dawn. We're going to do the Minnie Mouse breakfast that morning
Yes.
because we can then just walk into Fantasyland and not worry about how many people are there that
Exactly.
day.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't have to worry about any of that stuff. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to have so much fun.
Ah.
But yeah, it is nice. You know,
I
one
can't
thing
wait.
I've talked to VIP tours for a few times now, and they don't have to be up at the crack of dawn to get these either, because every restaurant and every nighttime spectacular has VIP tour reservations just sitting there. And they just stay there. They belong to
Oh,
VIP, and VIP is the one who lets them go later if they don't need them. But they're already there for VIP, so they get first dibs on everything, even
so
if they're not
nice.
first. That's how that works. So yeah,
So
so you don't
nice.
have to stress about it.
Well, I love it. I'm so excited. I think this is what sold us on the trip. I like doing anything where I can be a VIP.
Yes. Oh, me too. Uh-huh.
And I think this is what made my husband actually really excited about this
Yay.
trip. So thank you for
Of
introducing us to it,
course.
and I'm so excited for our trip.
Me too.
I'm excited to learn more. I think we covered so much information, and you've answered so many questions. But if there were three main takeaways on Disneyland, what would you say they are?
Yeah, for sure. I'd say the first takeaway is that Disneyland is definitely achievable for families. So even if people are feeling uncertain and a little bit daunted by all these logistics, you absolutely can do this, and it will turn out well. Disney will guarantee that they'll make it right. Number two is researching and laying the tracks ahead of time is important and necessary to have a good time. So all those dates we talked about, 120 days ahead of time for those tickets and reservations, 60 days out for those restaurant reservations, 30 days out for those nighttime spectaculars. Keep those dates in mind, put them on your calendar. But if you do these things, you will have a great time. We do need one person who is going to probably be the cruise director. And that's usually the mom, right? Or whoever the Disney
Yeah.
fiend is in the family. But for us, it's me. So I definitely cover that for us.
Yeah.
And then the third thing is that there are definitely ways you can elevate and optimize a trip. And that includes doing things like buying Genie Plus in addition to your park ticket, doing a VIP tour guide for a day. And then, again, I think DVC offers a really great way to elevate a trip and do it for less money. And I love to save money. So, yeah, it's definitely a win.
I love it. I'm excited to learn more about DVC
Yes.
down the line, and we'll do an episode on that. But our next episode, we're so excited, is going to be on
Woohoo!
lasers. So I have been a guinea pig for Clear and Brilliant, IPL, which stands for Intense Pulsed Light. And then I just recently did Halo. So I've been through the journeys, and I'm excited to share it with you,
Yay!
Megan. I know this is something
Yes.
you're interested in. And actually, I think all women and even some men that I've talked to are interested in this as well. It's just really fabulous technology that we have in this day and age to keeping your skin fresh and a little bit younger looking. So I'm excited to
Yeah,
talk
I
about
can't wait to
that.
hear more about it. Your face looks fantastic. Yes,
Oh,
of
thank
course.
you.
All right, everyone, please rate, like, and subscribe, and catch us on Instagram at Platinum Perspective Podcast.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.